Welcome, friend. I am Melissa Joy, here to take a little peek at what is going on. So yesterday, a friend and I had a connection call, conference call, a head-to-head, whatever you want to talk about. And as we were discussing the energies of the earth and what is going on right now, moving through, and what is desiring to come in for us all versus what many of us are experiencing right now, I began to pull cards while we're talking and showed very few of them, but I left them sitting here because life speaks to me in that way. And these are kind of altars of sorts, and not just an ALTAR, but ALTAR altars, ALTER. So what we set before us has the power to change what is coming. Okay. So I thought I would tune in and share these with you and see where we go from here. Okay. So I'm just going to chat about them for a minute, but they did also have a message that was coming in. I'm going to read it to you just to make it short and simple. It says, there is no competition for your position. That is the trick being used to lure you, heavy on the word lure, you out from your position. What position is that? It is yourself. It's the things that make you think you're not enough or you're too much, those type of things that cause these leanings, and it begins to totter you off of the very ground under your feet, which is your connection. It's where life delivers to you the opportunities and the openings and the receptivity and the ideas and creativity, that sort of thing. So our self is our space in time. So we need that location, just like the pin drop. When you want to map something and know how to get there, you need to have a pin drop, the location of where you are, along with the desired location. Okay. So they're wanting you to remain in your truth and yourself. It's not, don't be pushed and don't be bullied around. That could be our focus, but they're really saying, no, focus on you, remain in you, breathe through these things, get into your mind and recall and remember and bring up what it is you've been saying to yourself. And with that, they kind of dabbled into this by first saying it's time to change our mantras, the things that we mull around in our mind and how we mull it around. It's more like the essence of where we're coming from. And they said, think of it like this, moving it from I will not be silenced to I will be heard. And they're saying it's the difference of swimming upstream, backpedaling, driving 100 miles, 500 miles, 1,000 miles in reverse, which is very challenging on the body for one to say. And it's difficult to navigate as opposed to facing forward. Okay. So anyways, let's get into this. It says that's how these energies, their energies going around, and that's what you're feeling, pushing and marking on you, saying fear, doubt, shame, anger, guilt, frustration, any of those things, especially because we're going through this node of the Taurus North Node and the Scorpio South Node, which is called the Death Node, the Death Star, because it's here to strip you of anything and everything. Now that can work for you, or it can work against you, or it can just flat out work you. And that's why they're saying, let's learn to go with the flow. And as those things arise and are brought to your attention, maybe it's the light in which they're being shown. Like when I keep getting cut off, and I don't just mean interrupted, I mean, what I'm saying is devalued and debunked and, shut off even when it was asked for. And I'm like, oh, wait, hold on. And so I just stop and I take that moment to say, hey, here's where I'm coming from, and here's what I'm experiencing when that happens. Now I'm choosing to stay neutral in the midst of that, as opposed to letting it move me about, period. I don't let emotions be kicked up. I'm sensing feelings, but my feelings are for me and for my well-being. So I don't get into the emotional spin or the backspin or the whatever else. And I'm very clear, and I remind myself, and I just breathe in and breathe out. Okay. And that clears that moment so it doesn't leave a location in my body where pain, suffering, any of just the unlovely things, and not that those are something, but it's invitations. It's like leaving a crack in the door that stuff can come in that is unwanted or uninvited. Let's just say it like that. Okay. So these energies are looking to capture bodies. And you'd ask why? Well, these aren't things that we're willing to pay the price of becoming human, of entering in. It's those things that later on you look back and you regret. Or maybe as you age, you begin to own them and feel like they're you and your problems and your challenges and your difficulties. And you're seeking for solutions of things that aren't even true to who you really are. This is why the node's coming through, and it can help you shed it. But here is the trick to it, okay? So they're talking about these things want to capture the body. So that then they get in, and then you're left like, it's like maybe somebody who goes against their morals, their values, their goals, their direction, whatever you want to call it. And then they have that tinge of guilt or remorse later on, right? And then it leaves that kind of sick and sad, soggy feeling. And then you go, okay, you wake up and you're like, okay, I need to do the work. I got to get back on track. I got to set my mind. And you put this intensity at it, and you're left always doing this work. Even if you rarely imbibe in these energies taking you over and you stepping out of it and being lured into the guilt trap or the life university, the lessons, the tests, the trials, the temptations, thinking, okay, I need to learn something. Well, you know, that's part of the paradigm of how we were raised to learn. We learn by nature. We are curious by nature. We're inquisitive by nature. We're adaptive by nature. That's how humans are still around, okay? It ain't just the cockroach and the alligator that made it. It is us too, okay? And here is why. It's because of how we are created to be, to live in our nature, okay? So that's some of what in this, it may seem kind of vague or woo-woo type that I'm talking about, but your soul knows what I'm talking about. It's very practical, and it will begin to lead and guide you in these moments, because I'm not there. I don't know what they are, but your soul knows what it is, and it knows your language, and it knows what you're facing and what comes your way, okay? So just trust yourself. But it's talking about then you're stuck doing the work of having to clean and clear the energy. There are even entire philosophies that were applied into this earth surrounding that, like do the work, do the work. And if you've used that phrase, this is not down on you. It's not even down on myself for having done it. It's that we're shifting into this whole new world ever since 2020. And we've gone from more physical earthen things to AI, to online ordering, to digital or virtual reality type things. Everything has changed, okay? So that's what they're saying, is to kind of stay in the mode of operation now, or to update your phone, right? It's like a software update. That's kind of how they're bringing this in, so that you'll know and you'll be aware, because there's lots of energies around us. If you know most of technology, it travels through the air and it relays outside of the atmosphere, and then it bounces back and it comes on in. These things are moving through us whether we know it or not. Friends sometimes find it funny because they love to see what I'm hearing. And can I hear their thoughts without them ever opening their mouth? The answer is yes. So imagine what we hear otherwise. And this is their little software update for you, because we're entering this era that we're no longer here to do the work and keep cleaning that up. It's literally being able to stand in our truth and not have to defend ourselves or you know, push around or react and respond, but to stay in our truth, to go into our breath, to remind ourselves of our moment and the state of being in the song and the note that we are, right? And just let that thing move around and right on past. However that looks for you, I don't know. But this is the gist of the internal experience, okay? So it says we're through this era that supports us down to the work. It keeps us universally spinning the south node, thus the karmic wheel. Now, the south node is like the backwash, the going backwards, the getting us off track, and it's part of what makes everything go retrograde. Now, when we watch the sun rise from the east to the west, the sun isn't actually doing all that. We are. The earth is. We're spinning the other direction, okay? We're spinning from west to east. We're going counterclockwise. We think everything goes clockwise, and when we get trapped in that, that's where we keep going against the grain, swimming upstream, feeling like we're breaking our gears, being stripped out, always paying notes on something, whether it's the insurance or the car insurance or the tag or the house or the mortgage or the whatever, okay? It always comes something else, something else, something else. Well, life has come in with this revolutionary intelligence of like, hey, how about you recognize that we're here and we're here for you? And we see the bigger picture in the nature of humankind. How about you go with us, go with the flow? And that's why they've been coming in talking to us about preparing the night before, because the 24-hour cycle begins when the sun sets. And when you begin to notice that, making those choices and applying them there, to reflect on your previous day, to prepare for your coming day. And this isn't just the working part. It's talking about the heart energy, you know? If you're chilling for a purpose, but you don't keep hitting one more when you know you're going to regret that in the morning, okay? So it's staying in full conversation with yourself, full scope of yourself, light and dark of yourself, okay? The ownership of your authority and your power, because you are your parents and you are you. How do you bring this together and to prosper? They're really wanting us to prosper in the principles of how we were born to operate naturally. Okay, someone who is naturally great at a particular athletic sport, let's just use that, right? Because it's very physical. So they're naturally great at it. They could put it down and not come back for 3 to 5 years and show up and just knock it out and take it beyond someone who's applying themselves daily and doing the discipline because they're good and they want to be better. Now, there's no picking on it because any of us have been in that scenario in some realm of our life, right? And that's okay if you don't mind working at it. But this is talking about the humaning, the amming, getting to the being, all right? So that we don't work against ourselves and pull the emergency brake up while we're flying down the interstate and keep driving until we burn everything off, right? They're wanting to remove us from that burnout, from that resistance, from feeling like something is against us and has to be hard and we have to earn it or deserve it in that manner, okay? We have to be worthy of it. You are you. You're already here. The question of earning, deserving, all that, it's already past. It's already behind. You were here, okay? So they're getting us into the liberation of our chart, getting us out of just that belt, the zodiac belt, okay? And they're getting us into the land of beyond called the universe, the whole universe, all right? So they're wanting to get us past the work era, the self-help era, that you have a problem, here's how you solve it, there was this big movement of being in therapy and going to counseling, and that's nothing against that. What it's saying is, where is the process where we continue to move through and we grow into the development of who we are? We have deeper understanding and it begins to cause the garden in us to flourish instead of perpetually doing the work. That's what I'm talking about in the application here, okay? They're wanting to get us into the physical part. That's where we really... things do motivate and inspire and take the traction with us. They become valuable to us. Like when you're sitting in school doing a bunch of paperwork, especially as a smaller child, you're like, where is this going to make a difference in my life? That's why life wants to show you. It wants to become physical. So let's talk about how's that for revelation. It's why the wheel is the 10, the number 10 in the tarot deck. That's Capricorn, and that is actually where we're heading, and this is what we are going through right now. We're shifting from Scorpius actually into Ophiuchus, and then to Sagittarius, and then to Capricorn us, and then to Aquarius. That's a lot of us, and life is saying you are not left out. You are not on your own. We're here to help you begin to enter the spiral of life. You might have heard of the Fibonacci spiral. It is this mathematical sequencing that things always work out and know how to move forward into themselves, into that development, you know, the natural figuring on biggering, like I call the scavenger hunt. This leads to the next, to the next, to the next, and somehow they intrinsically all apply to each other, okay? But you can't know what's next until you're in the now, okay? So anyways, let's go from there, and we're going to jump on into the bit of sitting, what is sitting here. It's been showing me that this death spiral has really taken a toll on you, okay? The death card's coming in. When Scorpio was happening, the deck got all screwed up, all right? No matter how much I tried to go in a flow, there is the spiral beginning to occur, and that's what let me know is it is a physical energy. Just like if you've heard of latitude and longitude on the map, right? It is a magnetically measurable line. So this is apparently a magnetically measurable space in the atmosphere. We are on a moving vehicle, y'all. It's called planet Earth. It is moving. It is spinning, whether we choose to acknowledge it or not. And that's where Chiron was coming in. It's like, how about the big idea? How about I let you know how to get out of this and what it has done to you? Not only are we standing and feeling abandoned and clutching to what we do know here, wondering where that gap is, because remember, it's going from why are they calling her Dorothy? We're calling Little Red Riding Hood Doris. She has a name, and her name is Dorothy. And she didn't get clicked together her heels. She clicked together her windows like this. This is how it looks. My niece used to do it. She said, I'll clap for you. Gave it an eye clap. It's like taking pictures, right? Getting a clue of what is going on. But your world has been turned upside down by that. And it has been devastating, okay? Maybe not outwardly devastating like some people go through. I've been talking lately because of things I'm dealing with personal scenarios going on. It's the bad enough, but just under the radar that it doesn't get the help that is needed, right? And it's like, how do we begin to bridge that gap? The one that's right between us, like the atmosphere that separates us from outer space and inner space, okay? The cell wall. We ain't talking prison. We're talking our divine nature being activated. That is short or long. Scratch that. That is long for DNA. Our divine nature activated. We are here to be healthy, to heal, to constantly be on the mend, on the move, on the forward, on the whatever, even in our resting. Resting is part of our growth as well. Okay, so it's showing over here that it's like not having a strong idea of who you are or what is going on. So this isn't necessarily, in this case, a blindfolded choice. This is like an ignorance of the world, of the generation, of where we actually come from. So we don't know what all is afforded to us, because you can see the waters are trying to rise on in and come on in. They're trying to make their way to you. This is plasma, which is, y'all, come March 23rd, it is on, bang a gong. What will be happening between January 27th and March 23rd is revolutionary. Okay, but see, here's your spirit guide up here, the mermaid or the Capricorn, coming along going, hey, we got good things coming for you. And you're sitting here like trying to feel your way out in a world that you don't know. And I understand what that is like, because my eyes got turned off some time ago, and I have been praying them back for a long time, trying to bring them forward. Because when you have to grope, you end up moping. Not just a mope at the face, but a mope of the energy, because it's challenging and difficult. Because first of all, you're trying to identify things that you're not even aware fully of what it is. And how does it apply to you? And how do you get to where you're going? So you're talking about this just entrance into something that is utterly foreign to you. So let's see what we've got up under here. So the dream angel is coming on in, and they're wanting to open your eyes. This turtle, the tortoise, is coming up here. The ancient sea tortoise is coming up, saying the ancients are reaching out for you. Now, what's interesting is normally the star is pouring these waters, okay? And those are like these eternal waters, these mystic waters. The solutions and understanding, which would really be the knowledge and the understanding. Okay, Pisces is showing up here. And as Jupiter is beginning to take its place in Pisces, ka-chow, the I am, the way is showing up, and it'll be clear and you will know. That's a prophecy right there for somebody. But it's wanting to go from these limitations. You've reached the limit of where you can go anymore. You tried to make the best of it here, enjoying it, showing up, but there's something more, wanting that connection, and the connection with life, with beauty, with the divine, with the desires that are stirring inside of you, whether you can identify them or not. They might just be little inklings or sensations or smells or different things that you conjure up in your mind that have meaning to you here, there, and everywhere. But how does it come together in the big picture? That's interesting. It's talking about in the fabric of time. How does it come together? Well, that's why the boat be rocking right now. And it's kind of like in Willy Wonka. This boat is not going across to the other shore. It's not going over. That's not the Six of Swords showing up here. Ancient wisdom is showing here to help take you on this pull, the gravitational pull. Okay? The pull. Now, divine tower. This is like, who was that? I don't remember his name, but it was one of the early actors, and he used to do that all the time. If you know, put it in the comments down below. But this is your tower. Look at you. This is a tower of rising up and awakening and self-discovery, beginning to know who you are and what all this magic is inside of you. Not being pushed off the territory of you, but in that moment going, I do believe, I do believe, I do believe. What do I believe? I believe that I will be heard. I believe that I'm valuable, and I'm worth being compensated for my time, you know, say at work or asking for the raise or whatever it is, okay? Or having opportunities and luck come my way. He's like, yes, the skull is showing up. Like you can see straight through. He's saying straight through to my brain. Look at my brain. Can you see what I'm saying? Can you see what I'm saying? So it's talking about ESP, extra sensory perception. Some of you might ask yourself, hey, self, can we turn up some of my extra sensory perception? Right now, my boat is rocking. This is the conversation. Right now, my boat is rocking and I'm a little scared. So I don't necessarily know what to do with everything you're showing me, or I may not see everything you're showing me. Help me to see, help me to notice. You're welcome to come into my world. This is you talking to yourself now. You are welcome to show me and make it clear, make it plain, show me the way, okay? And that is the guidance that this divine tower is promising, actually bringing in here. This is you, okay? We're not in charge of our skeleton. Nobody gets up and tries to arrange their skeleton. It is there. And we're often paying attention to all the functions that are above the foundation. But this is foundational. And here is why. Because you're about to become dynamic in a multiverse, moving in many directions. Ooh, who that for? Who the multiverse? Let me see. Moon, it changes your life. They're talking about this is that navel. Look at this. You see that? You're going to see what you say. You're going to see what you say, because this is sitting under that little foxes, the wise fox, the death card, the being played for the fool unto death, because you didn't know that ignorance. We didn't know. We were in this world going through how we started off, our genesis, and got kicked off. And then we were taught to do the work and be deserving and be productive and solve problems and do all that we didn't have time to stop and check it out. Okay. When we're sick, we're usually focusing on recovering and all this other shiz is, all right? But that is the great idea coming on in here, powering up. It is the divine spark. It is authentic to who you are. That's the beautiful thing. How all this shows up is different for each person, because, you know, strip it all off, we all look like this, right? Right? And that's that thing. But this is like love and life itself coming forward. But what makes you happy, fulfilled, turned on, inspired, motivated is unique to each individual. And that's why your soul and yourself is saying, ask me. Watch me stir this up in you. And before you know it, it's going to happen. This old stuff is going to pop off. You're going to come out of the beaver dam of thinking that you have to work hard for this and destroy things and convert things, earthen things. That takes too much time. Too much time. And most of what you would need and desire is already available right here. There are other things that are incoming. They're on their way. But as things move on out, other things come on into your life. Okay, so we could say, yes, they're already here. It's like this 4-1. It's progress in process. That's what they're saying. This is progress in process. And I absolutely love it. But in order to have the covering, to have the prosperity and the provision, you first need the foundation. And they're saying foundations are laid. Let us teach you who you are. It's your owner's manual. Not me. I am just the microphone. We talk about your dynamic, delicious, everlasting self. These evergreen trees, the trees of life, the life that is beating in your heart and your bones and your soul. This is you. You are the tree of life. And that is what helps you stand strong, is knowing this is you. Not all these other things spinning you and moving you around. Life itself has already agreed with you. It's inside, beating your heart, beating that beautiful drum and rhythm of who you are. It is breathing your breath, all right? And they're just saying, take note of us, take notice of us, ask us, and then notice when we come to you. Engage with the guidance. Don't just take everything at face value. When it comes, ask more questions and see where that sits with your feels, okay? Because see, this thing, it actually is like this. Okay, so imagine, let's start to learn dimension, as Prince says, and I'm talking about like, little real Corvette kind of Prince. He's in school, we were trained to flatten our vision. So anytime we see an image, it's flat. It doesn't have the meaning or the application because we're dimensional. These things are just to shorten it so that it processes through quickly. And that's why they're wanting to take us from that beaver dam energy over here and from our world spinning out of control, kicked off by something else other than us, and getting us into that dynamic fourth field. Okay, fourth field. May the fourth be with you. What fourth? The fourth of wands. May the fourth be with you. And they're talking about being at peace with this process because, see, most of the hard work is already behind you. You're now into the development part, not so much the growth. They're getting you into the understanding. And that's why I had just a delightful friend who ended up sick. And in the vision, it was like that they were growing so rapidly, evolving so rapidly that it was going to take us beyond the landing. It's just like in the movie Toy Story. If you've seen the original, Buzz is falling with style and he's holding on to Woody. And Woody's like, wait, you're missing the moving van. And Woody's like, I'm not aiming for that. And that's what happens is, so if we're evolving and growing too fast, we're going to miss that place where it lands, where it gets traction, where it becomes physical and comes together. Okay. And that's why these points of reflection and also starting at sunset and moving on, getting your rest and starting at the bright of day. Okay. So it's all these different components coming together. Think of the degrees, think of the compass, think of a foundation, okay? Foundational direction with your life. I like that. And then that takes us past this kickoff. All right. These are the ancients. Now you're like, I don't like where I came from. But that thing back where it came from, oh, so help me. So help me. If you've seen Monsters, Inc. And it's like, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? I don't know. I want to find out because this is sitting under the Lady of Pentacles. Okay, she's saying do nothing. That's why there are no arms. They're not tied behind your back. You're not crossing your fingers behind your back, betraying yourself. They're saying watch and see how we do our work. Watch and see how this works. You've already put so much into motion that there's a lot of commotion. And like, think of like Pigpen, if you've seen Charlie Brown, when he walks, dust and dirt stirs up around him. Now you have to imagine energetically, or in my case, scientifically, when we went out to survey the flora and fauna, and especially what was swimming in the water, we had to wait out and then we had to wait 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, it depended on how much silt was on the ground until it began to calm down before we could take samples. Or otherwise it wasn't authentic. It was literally stirring up the bottom into everything. And then therefore we're getting a skewed reading or like a tilted scale, a misjudgment. So that's what it's saying. Look at this, y'all. Look how this resonates. Now, I haven't looked at these. A card would come and I would talk about a thing in them, but I haven't looked at the reading. This is a trip. And again, a diamond, that's the 4. That's very much Pentacle energy. And see how you were picking the flowers here, wanting to get to the other side, asking, how do I get here? I've really played out all my options here. I'm making the best out of it. I'm appreciating, but I know there's something more. I'm sensing something more and I'm feeling drawn. And that's where all this other and that funny tower, the foundations were coming in and showing you that you're moving into a new dimension, the 4th. The field of the 4th be with you. That's kind of like, what is that? Field of dreams. Think of it like that. Building something there because there's an energy already inhabiting it, and that is you, your whole self. Okay, so this is the sun and the moon at your feet. Okay, so it's talking about your part of fortune. That is an X if you, depending on which chart you read, with the circle around it. And I always say you to treasure. X marks the spot. It's where your giftings, your talents, and your skills all come together. Once it's like allowing this big idea and this spark to return means, let me get this all out, that the parts and pieces aren't going to keep bugging you. They're not going to keep stirring up all that commotion, that noise, that energetic noise that you're having to breathe and cough and choke and sift through and stress through. The big ideas coming in. Look at these testicles up above your head, your ovaries. This is our divine intelligence. It is heaven on earth being connected, and that is the 4th. The 4th dimension, the 4th field, apparently they're calling it, because they want us to know stuff is growing up in that field, the field of dreams. And these cards, oh, this old truck keeps moving out of the way. This thing keeps rearranging itself and is alive and magnetic. So now this is you're getting yourself together. It's coming together. It is making sense and is aligning. Therefore, it is divining. So now she is on here showing that this is more of a heavenly matter. They're saying, let us take care of this for you. We ourselves understand. Who? The ancient ones. Remember? And not just that, yourself. These senses, our earthen perception, our earthen nature, because matter just changes forms. So we're this composite of all of space and time. All right. Now, it's something that we don't necessarily have to wrap our head around, but it's something that we're experiencing, just like the spin of the earth, whether we perceive and acknowledge it or not. But that's bringing in this divine spark. It's bringing the sun into ourselves, the solarness, so that we can see from the inside, okay? And this brings in, I getcha. Them flipping the switch of insight, because you can see we've got the sun, moon, the star going on here, and that's what's going on here as well. Okay, so now they're coming together. How to support and provide you. That's very foundational. I see the foundation there. All right, so this brings in, well, we already talked about him. We already talked about him. So I'm going to get a little something on the Lady of Pentacles. All right, and then we're going to wrap this up, this divine magic. I didn't know how this was going to, something jumped, how this was all going to go. But let's see. At the bottom says, to be fair. It's talking about part of fortune again. This card is starting to show itself. Be fair to yourself. Who you are, your experiences. They want me to say that, so I don't say experience, because we'll think what we put on a job application or resume, this body of work. No, they're talking about you. This deliciousness, this cosmicness, this divineness, okay? Your experiences coming together. That part of fortune, let it serve you. Let it serve you, to be fair. That brings about the divine justice that you've been seeking. And that's why they're saying forgive. What they're saying is free your hands up, because there's more to come. Not more of what's been going on. No, this is kind of like the road home, all right? Remember, what was her name? Little Dorothy Riding Hood, or Little Red Dorothy Hood, or just Hood. I don't know. But she just blinked her eyes, like my niece said, those eye claps, right? And you begin to see the bigger picture. You begin to see the bigger picture. And with that begins when you know, then you can go. Your whole world goes with you. You see this ostrich living loud and proud, moving forward, because see those legs making the K. When it is K, it is extra cool. It is extra special. It is that ESP, the extra sensory perception. And look at that, the red balloon going with you. Now I found the 100th red balloon, and that is the balloon of liberation. New day dawning. Clouds are clearing. Some of you, you're afraid, because I hear it say they're smearing, all right? They're smearing. And they're like, if you're crying, let the tears flow on down. They're talking about, matter of fact, get in the shower and let yourself meld with them. Get in unison with that energy. Interesting tip for someone there. And so we're just going to keep walking, okay? We're going to keep moving. And we're moving into what? That's interesting. The road home. That they're talking about, that's the ease on down. The easy road. I sure will. Watch me rise. Watch me rise.
That was easy.
That's right, friend. That is my prayer for you. That's why they are here. They're like, we're bringing in the ease, the delight, the restoration, going the distance. Because once you see that flag, that checker flag, it is the final lap, the final realm. And they're saying the final curtain call. And not the curtain going up, it going down. And the show is over. And you'll be like, what? No, the show, the game, the being entertained, the being drained. They're like, no, now you're going to become the creator. The divinator, the divine one, okay? And see all this blue and this bounty and this beauty? That's what's going along with this. And look, you're going in the same direction with life. It's not about the speed or the pace. It's about the completion, letting this come to completion and getting into your nature and letting your nature take over. And when they say human nature, then no, they're talking about inhumane things. Well, that's just human nature. No. Human nature is benevolent and divine. It's inclusive, it's kind, and also when it's reclusive, it's because it's necessary. It doesn't judge, all right? It appreciates and celebrates, and they're talking about, therefore, elevates. And that's you. Look at you in your hovercraft, elevating above the world. They're talking about, that's your shortcut, not a short change. And she's like, that's right. We've asked you not to touch it, just to get into our helicopter. And we are going to move you from here to there. We're taking you forward in a whole different dimension. They're talking about it is just not out of your reach, but just above your head, and we will help you reach it. We will help you reach it with our scientific technology, you know, like the helicopter. Instead of having to go through the ruts and routines, the highways and byways, very Saturnian, very limited, we're getting you into the Jupiter expansion. They're saying, we're just putting a little helium in your diet. We're lightening your load. I love it. Lighten your load. Hey, I love you. I'm so glad you stopped by. And if you'd like to like, share, and subscribe, you could also comment a compliment down below. Help us rise to the top. And I'd love to get to know you. And also stop back by anytime, friend. Okay, bye.